Okinawa RMC Round 1. We are back at Ikei Island for the first round of the 2026 season. It is a small island out to the right of Okinawa, and we were here last year. We performed well on Saturday to put us on pole, and Sunday we just kind of got outclassed by the other drivers. But let's see if we can take what we learned from last year and apply it to this year and get a better result. We're about to start the first practice on the dry tire, so we'll see how that goes. We're gonna save the wet tires for the heat races later, so when it actually matters, we're gonna save. Oh, I'm on used wet tires. I didn't end up buying new wet tires. I'm so tired, pun intended. So we'll see how the next session goes. Yeah, it's Koga-san. Remember him? He showed out for this race. So I'm not gonna have the GoPro on the cart for this because I'm just kind of checking the steering and the tires and the engine. So, yep. So the layout for this weekend, this is Saturday, is a practice in the morning that goes into a qualifying that determines your position for the qualifying race 1. Then your finishing position for this race will be where you start for qualifying race 2. But right now we have Mikio Naga in front of us. To the left of her, starting in P1, is Taida Hibiki, and to the left of me is Roland. He's a senior driver local to Kukuru. They also have the Masters class and the Senior class intertwined for all of these races, so there's 2 separate podiums and wins up for grabs. But anyways, that is the wave of the Japanese flag, so it is a go. We were able to stick it around the outside of Roland with enough throttle input and kind of just keep P3 for the first few corners here. And I don't remember if it started to rain. I'm pretty sure it did start to rain, but at least right now it's not that hard. I kind of don't want the front 2 to leave me. It would be nice to kind of stay with them because they were showing quite a bit more pace than I was this weekend. At this point, I'd never really dropped Roland. I know Roland is right there because he is shown to be quite faster than me as I lock up there and screw up turn 2. Here we are, we're gonna go into turn, I think that's turn 4, and then we have 5 and 6 right here. I get too loose, screw up my exit terribly. Roland gets a good run to this corner, and we bang wheels a little bit, but he's gonna take that spot every time, as there's not much grip on the outside over there. So now we are back in P4, right where we started, getting all over the grass. And like I said, try not to let them pull away too much, but I really don't think the techno was there this weekend. It just felt a little bit more loose, and the low end was quite bogging, I guess. There wasn't very much acceleration out of corners. But as previously mentioned, it did start to rain on the latter laps of this race, and I was able to kind of close the gap to the 2 people up front. Taida Hibiki kind of just checked out, as you can see him go across the screen there. And with me closing the gap, that might hit at a setup issue or just a driving issue in the dry. But we're still running in P4. So we're going to take the checkered flag around this penultimate corner here. Bam, bam. Checkered flag. Now we are going to be starting P4 in qualifying race 2. That was qualifying race 1. Started P4. I only did 4 laps on the actual qualifying time, so I was saving the tires a bit. The weather's going really in and out of rain and dry, rain, dry conditions, so that's getting quite annoying. But for the first qualifying race, we held P4, so I'm happy with that. And we're just gonna make a couple adjustments, maybe make the front more soft. Check pressures again, and then we'll be out for qualifying race 2. Car feels fine, brake feels weird, and my back hurts. So. Deja vu starting quali race 2 in P4. The top 4 is the same as the previous race, so we have Taida Hibiki in P1, Mikio Naga in P2, Roland P3, and I'm P4. I'm not sure exactly what the grid looks like behind me, but as you may see, it absolutely downpoured for probably the last 20 or 30 minutes. And we're going to have a clean start. Roland keeps the inside this time. My start really wasn't the best. So Roland's going to keep that position for those corners. We get a bump from behind. Sends me a little deep. Compromises my exit. I tried to cover off the inside here. Saito's there. He's going to take that position. I didn't mean to get into the back of him here, but sorry, Saito. That causes me to lose 2 positions as Ryoma has a crazy exit. He's going to get the switchback on Saito, and then Saito's just going to kind of close the door there, causes me to check up a bit. So we're going to finish lap 1, 2 positions down. This is later on. We really just stick with Saito the whole time until he has this moment here, turn 2 or 3, I don't remember. He just sends it deep, so that's going to be an easy gain of position for us. Later on, the sun's poking out. I take a super shallow entry into this turn, and entered Cheska actually. He's a very good friend of Kukuru. Sometimes he comes to the track and hangs out. He's a very good mechanic and a very talented driver. He actually was at the grand finals last year, I think representing Korea or representing Japan. I don't actually remember. Sorry, Cheska. But we're going to take the checkered flag, P6, so we ended up losing 2 positions overall from our starting spot. Not terrible, but I really was not confident during this race. I took it really easy, and we're just going to start the main race in P6.
This alignment is screwed right now. I should have checked this yesterday when I had the time, but we're going to make some adjustments. The Ackerman's off by an insane amount. This wheel had positive camber while the other wheel had negative camber. It was just terrible. So let's dial this in.
It is time for the final race. We are starting P6. We are in our grid position, so that means it's time to warm up the sweet 125 Rotax engine. Atrocious. The grid is set. This is towards the middle of the formation lap. Ryoma's doing a crazy warm-up. I got in trouble for doing this before, so I was kind of confused. Maybe he just doesn't know the rule, but it's not really enforced here in Okinawa, so not a huge deal. We have Tide Hibiki starting P1 once again. We have Miki Unaga P2, Roland P3, Cheska P4, or Ryoma P4. He leaves a gap on the start to try to kind of jump it a little bit. He gets a good start, but ends up sideways right here. Not sure how that happened. In the midst of all that, we gain 2 positions. Get into the back of Cheska there. Leave myself vulnerable for not 1, but 2 positions lost. So that's another botched start by me. I really need to get better at that. A gap opened up a little bit for a couple laps. But we were able to get on the rear bumper of Sakasan and literally kind of just getting to the back of the bumper there. We're going to try a switchback, I think, later on. We're getting a little bit more comfortable on the brakes, almost getting to the back of him. Up here, we're going to try to put the power down and set our cart up nicely for the exit right here. Try to put the power down. Just wasn't there. I don't think the Techno really had it in the setup. Next lap, we're gonna try to set ourselves up for the same thing again here. Let's give it a listen. I just feel like the lower RPMs, there's a little bit less power. At this point, I see 3 drivers on the side of the track, 2 of which were ahead of me on the previous laps. So that's going to give us 2 positions gained. And me in the cart at this moment, I don't know exactly what position I'm in. I'm just kind of trying to get past Sakasan here. It's a narrow track, so it's very difficult. Pretty technical as well. There's the leaders, only 2 seconds ahead of us. Try to put the power down once again, but the setup is just not there. Later on, this might be 2 or 3 laps later, we have a epic moment. Almost put it right into the back of Sakasan and take him out. That was kind of my sign to just chill a little bit and just cruise to the finish, because I was kind of losing confidence in the break and just putting the cart in certain positions. We're going to take the flag in P4. So the last couple of laps I was thinking, what position am I actually in? I was trying to calculate it, but I really was not sure. I had an idea that I was in P4, but I couldn't be sure, because in karting there are penalties, yada yada. So what position did I finish in? Remember how I said earlier that there's 2 podiums up for grabs? So 2 P1s, 2 P2s, and 2 P3s. And that's because there's 2 separate classes throughout this race. I was running in the senior class for this weekend, so that means I finished P2 in class, right behind Tarebiki, with Kenjo behind us in P3. When I finished the race, I thought I didn't even get on the podium and I was just going to sit out, but we were able to leave the track with some hardware and wrap up the first RMC round of Okinawa thing, Ikei Island Road Tax Championship, with some hardware. I always love coming to this event. It's only my second event, but I will definitely be back next year. It's such an enjoyable event. The area's super awesome, super nice. The hotel's cool. There's beaches, there's good food, there's whatever. It's a very Okinawan vibe, and it's so cool to bring racing to this area. And I really appreciate the AJ Resort for putting this on, as well as the mayor of Uruma for also being a big facilitator in this. Big thank you, and I couldn't be more grateful for the Kukuru team, as well as the S1 GP guys, for really being the backbone to putting this event on. I mean, without all of these people, this is not happening at all. So I couldn't thank them enough. And that wraps up the round 1 of 2026 for the Okinawa RMC.